In this tutorial, we'll explore using Adobe Bridge to organize all of our assets and be able to import photos from different devices. Adobe Bridge is a companion program that's used simultaneously with other Adobe programs. And we utilize it to also view, search, sort, filter, manage, rename, move, and delete files. There's a drag and drop file flexibility. It allows us to process images with flexible batch processing. We can also add and edit metadata. Adobe Bridge is a good program for us to get started with. We'll create a new folder for our photo library that we'll use throughout the semester. And we'll also set up our file structure so that each lab each week will have its own folder. Everything will be in one centralized location and easy to find. If you will be working on public computers at school, you are definitely going to need a USB external drive. That way all of your working files can be saved on it, and it wouldn't be saved locally to that computer. You would be able to transport it to different computers. We're also going to be backing up all of our work through Google Drive. Those of you that will be working on your own personal computers, you might want to save to your desktop or your documents folder, or you could also get an additional USB drive to use for this class as well. Either way, you're going to have one main centralized folder that's going to be the top level for all of our lab folders throughout this semester. First, we'll start with opening up Adobe Bridge. You'll see that we have different kinds of workspace options in here. Essentials, libraries, film strip. We also have additional workspace options in the arrow that's showing on my screen right now. If you have a bigger screen, it might show more, but later we'll be using the output workspace. And basically what these are doing are just rearranging your workspace. It's opening up different panels and gives you different options for whatever you're doing. So we're going to start off today by going to the Essentials workspace. I can see in the upper left panel of my workspace, I have my folders options. And this is where you can navigate to different locations on your computer. So if you are working on a USB drive, you're going to want to locate that. If you're going to set up your Adobe Design Suite folder on your own computer, whether it's your desktop, your documents folder, I want you to find that location. If you can't see the entire navigational space in there, each one of these panels, if I hover over the middle section and drag, you can see that you can adjust the size of these panels, both vertically and horizontally. And that works pretty much that way for all of the Adobe programs that we're going to cover this semester. You can customize any one of those panels. I can grab tabs and I can move things around and really modify how that workspace looks. And that's what's also nice about those workspace switchers, because it will also kind of snap those original default functions back to where they were. Okay, so I am going to create a new folder. I've found the main location that I want to put the Adobe Design Suite folder in. And I can go up to my File menu at the top and tell it New Folder. And I see in this content area in the middle of my screen, I now have a new folder, and the name of the folder is highlighted, so I can type in what I want the new folder to be named, and I'll type in Adobe Design Suite. And what we can do is we can add this folder over to our Favorites tab so that it's very easy to locate and get to it anytime throughout the semester. I don't have to go navigating all the way back to the original location. So I use my right click on my mouse a lot. It gives you a lot of the options that are also available up in the menu options at the top. So if you want to go into your system preferences, you can always turn on that right click on your mouse. But for now, I have my Adobe Design Suite folder selected, and what I could do is I could drag that over into my Favorites tab. Here we go, drag right here. And now I have my Adobe Design Suite folder conveniently located. And now I can see that my content changed. I have no items to display. And we'll start here with creating our photo library folder. So make sure you have the Adobe Design Suite folder selected and you're inside that folder. I can go up to File, New Folder, and we can name this one Photo Library. I could also add this folder to my favorites, and that will also make it easier for us to navigate and get to, and also copy over all of our images to that folder. Now I'm going to start gathering the 15 images to put into my photo library folder. Some of the photos that I'm going to copy over are located on my computer, and some of my photos I'm going to take off of my camera. So I want you to navigate to the first location that you have your photos stored in. Sometimes we need to maybe pull off pictures from social media, so we would need to go into those programs and download individual pictures. Another convenient way that I've found to get pictures off of your cell phone to your computer, if you don't have the proper cords, sometimes we come into that problem, but you can always use Google Drive to transfer those images from your phone to your computer. So now I've navigated inside of a folder that has some pictures I want to bring over to my photo library. So I can kind of scroll through those thumbnails here. You'll notice near the bottom you do have a slider. So I could increase the size of my pictures, kind of show one at a time, or I could decrease the size and be able to show multiple images at one time. We also have some different views that we can use. I'm in a thumbnail grid right now, but we can also view content as thumbnails. That just kind of takes the additional border off of there. There's not a whole lot of difference between those two. And then the third is view content as details. Here you'll notice you've got the image name, and then a lot of the metadata information that goes along with that file. And then the last view is view as list. So this is convenient when you want to sort your assets or your files based on different criteria. Maybe what type of file it is, the date created, or you could always alphabetically view them by name. You can either select individual files or I can drag my mouse and select all of the files in here. By clicking right on the thumbnail of one of my images, I can drag over right on top of the photo library in the Favorites tab. And if I release my mouse, you'll notice that those images are no longer in that original location. If I go over to my photo library folder, I can see that I've actually moved all of those files from the original location to the photo library. Now another way to do this would be to copy those images over. So I could go up to the Edit menu at the top and tell it to Undo Move. So now I can see inside of my photo library folder it's empty. So I'll go back to my original location of my images and select everything. So another way that I could copy these images over to that folder so that they stay in the original location and also make a copy in my photo library folder would be to have all my images selected, and I can go up to the File menu at the top and go down to Copy To, and I see Photo Library right at the top in Recent Folders. So it just showed me it copied it over. I'm still in my original location. I see my pictures are there. If I navigate over to my photo library, now I can see I have additional copies in there as well. A good habit to get into throughout the semester and just regularly when you're working with images is you're going to want to just copy a version out of that original photo library folder so that you'll always be able to go back to the original if you need to. We all have lots of different devices now that we can take pictures and videos off of, so a good way to upload images off of your device in Bridge, you can go up to the File menu, Get Photos from Camera. You would want to plug your phone or your camera or whatever device you're using into your computer and wait for the dialog box to open. Once you have the photo downloader dialog box opened, you'll start at the top in the source area, Get Photos From, and if you have your device plugged into your computer and turned on, you should be able to see it in that list. I can see there's my camera right there. And I can go through and checkbox the images that I want. I can uncheck them if I don't want those images. So I'll take a few of those off. And then I'll go into the upper right corner and tell it where I would like these pictures to be saved to. So if I go into the Browse button, I'll navigate into my Adobe Design Suite folder and then also open up my photo library folder. So this is the destination that I would like my images saved to. I'll click Select Folder. And you could create subfolders. I'm not going to rename the files, but I could do that here. I want my images to open up in Bridge when it's done. You could also delete the original files, even though I don't recommend doing that simultaneously. I like to make sure that my images and videos get converted over correctly first, and then go and delete the originals off the device. So let's go down to the bottom and hit the Get Media button. It'll copy over your images and it should open right back up into the Bridge folder. So now I have all my images in here. If I go to my list view, because I got my images off of different devices where everything has their own naming system, Now that I have that collection together, that naming system doesn't really make sense. So what we'll do now is give it a consistent name and numbering system that will be done in a batch rename processing action and be able to rename all these files in one quick action. Now I'm inside my photo library folder, and I can see at the bottom I have my 15 images loaded. So I'm going to select all of my images to do the batch rename. One way I can do that is by going up to the Edit menu at the top and telling it to select all. And I can see in the preview area over to the right I have 15 items selected. Now I can go up to the Tools menu at the top and go to Batch Rename. This is my Batch Rename dialog box here. And we'll start with the destination folder. Do we want to rename in the same folder, move to a different folder, or copy to another folder? We'll stay with rename in same folder, so it will replace the names of these files in your photo library folder. Now you have different criteria for your file names. Under the New File Names section, you'll see that you have plus and minuses here to add criteria or subtract criteria. In the first set of new file name criteria, we can choose sequence number. And you can tell it how many digits do you want that number to start numbering at. So if I went with 3 digits, it would put a 0, 0 before the 1. We can probably bump ours down to 2 digits, and what it will do is it'll put 1 0 in front of that 1, and then let's say when we get to file number 10, it will keep that sequential numbering going in the proper order. So it's just basically depending on how many images you are wanting to catalog. You could change how that numbering system looks. For the second set of criteria here, we're going to choose text. And then I can click in the type text box, and you could do maybe a hyphen or an underscore, and then I'd like you to put your last name, and then photos. And if I look down near the bottom, it's showing me what the current original file name was, and then underneath that it shows me what the new file name structure is going to look like. So we're not going to be changing any of our file extensions or formats here. We're basically just changing the file names. And it's showing me at the bottom 15 images will be processed. I can click on Rename in the upper right hand corner. Let it do its work, and now I can go to my list view and see that everything is numbered all nicely and staying in correct order. So that's going to be a lot easier for us to be able to catalog our images. And now we're ready to make our contact sheet. A contact sheet is a single-page file with thumbnail-sized versions of photos from a shoot or a collection. Contact sheets are similar to a negative but are in positive colors. It allows for easy comparison between images, making the selection process easier. So we're going to change our workspace to the output workspace. So I'm going up here to the arrow to the right of the film strip, and I'll choose output. When you're in the output preview workspace, you'll see you have a grid-like formation starting in the output preview area, and then you should have your photo library image thumbnails at the bottom of your screen. On the right panel under Output Settings, this is where we can set up our own custom grid for our contact sheet. So I want you to expand the arrow next to Document, and we'll change the page size to a letter size document. That comes out to an 8.5 inches wide by 11 inches high. We'll create a portrait orientation versus a landscape. So portrait, the height of your document is greater than the width of your document. Background color, right now it's white, and in a lot of the Adobe programs, when you see a little color picker box like that, if you click on it, it will open up additional color options. So I can change the background color of my contact sheet to a gray. I'll click OK. And then I'll move down to resolution. This is going to determine the quality of the thumbnails on our contact sheet. And 300 ppi, that stands for pixels per inch. That's an industry standard good quality resolution size. We'll keep our image quality at 12. I would like for you to check the include file name box so that I can see that you batch renamed all of your files. If you would like to go in and change the font or the font size or color, you can do that. Next, I'll go down to the grid and margins arrow and expand that section. And in order to fit our 15 images onto this letter size document, we're going to create 3 columns by 5 rows. I like to check the Use Auto Spacing box so that it spreads out all of the thumbnails and keeps it in a nice consistent grid formation. You can add a header and footer if you'd like, a watermark for security, but I think we're ready to drag our images into the contact sheet. So down in the content bottom area, you can click one image and you can do a Command or Control A to select all, and then I'm going to drag it up into my contact sheet. Now I see I have all 15 images in here, and it's showing the file name. That also shows the batch file rename that we applied. So now we're ready to export this document as a PDF. A PDF can be easily opened in other programs, especially Adobe Acrobat. It's a universal file format that keeps the file size minimal, and it's a good compatible format to use on different platforms. So you'll see in the lower right hand corner of your workspace there's a button that says Export to PDF. Navigate back into your Adobe Design Suite folder, and I can see we only have that one folder in there right now. Let's go ahead and make a couple new folders. So our first lab, I hit the new folder button there, was our account creations. So let's just set up a folder for that, and even though we're working on lab 2 right now, but I'll type in lab 01 to keep that numbering consistent. I'll put in a hyphen, and I'll name that account creations. Now, if you would like to drag your screenshots of the account creations that you created already into that folder, you can do that. But I'm going to stay right inside the Adobe Design Suite level. Okay, so I can see I have 2 folders in here now. I'll make another new folder, and this one I'll title it Lab 02-BR, which stands for Bridge Contact Sheet. And I'll open up folder Lab 2 BR Contact Sheet. And I can see that the file format, save as type, is set to a .pdf. So that's the format that we want. And where it says file name, I see untitled.pdf. So we'll rename this file, but I don't want to delete that file extension. We want to keep that in there. So I'm just highlighting the word untitled, and I would like for you to put your last name -02 contact sheet .pdf. So you always want to check to make sure that your file extension matches the format of the file you're saving to. And you're in the correct folder location. I can see I'm in Lab 2 Bridge Contact Sheet folder. So I can click the Save button. It's generating the PDF right now. And it's asking me if I want to open this file. So it automatically chose Adobe Acrobat DC, which is what I want to always open my PDF files with. And here is my contact sheet. I can zoom out a little bit, but I have all 15 images in there. I can see all the renamed file names. And if I zoomed in on the pictures, I can see that I still have good quality to my images, and my grid looks nice. Everything's evenly spaced and ready to go. So this document with your last name -02 contact sheets.pdf is the file that you're going to submit to Canvas for lab number 2. So I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about Bridge and getting more familiar with file organization and batch processing, and we'll be using the images stored in our photo library folders throughout the semester. So please feel free to keep adding to your photo library. Hopefully you'll get more photo inspirations and be able to utilize them for different projects throughout the semester. Thank you for watching. This was our Bridge Contact Sheet tutorial.